Mohamed Salah has been speaking post-match to Journal Insight Zone / Liverpool Echoes, Paul Ghost and James Pearce and probably others who were in earshot. We've got the clip here, so if you've not seen or heard it, listen to what he had to say.
There's a lot of talk about your future. What's the latest you can tell us on that?
Well, we almost in December. I haven't received any offer to stay yet in the club, so probably I'm more out than in. So,
would you like to stay though?
Well, I've been in the club for many years. No club like this, but in the end, it's not in my hands. So, as I said before, it's December, so I haven't received anything yet about my future. So
it feels like the fans would love you to stay, though, given the reaction today.
I love the fans. The fans love me, but in the end, it's not in my hand; it's the fans' hand. So, yeah, let's wait and see.
How do you feel about the fact there hasn't been an offer? Then does that disappoint you?
Of course, yeah.
And so what? Have you spoken to the club about why there hasn't been an offer?
Well, I'm not gonna go and say I'm not gonna retire soon. So I'm just I'm focused in the season, and let's say I'm trying to win the Premier League or hopefully the Champions League as well. But yeah, it's a disappointed, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, he's a massive liar because it's not December. So what's he talking about? Spinning things out on the.
It's 37 days until he can speak to people, though, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, come on, Chris. Someone else is allowed to say something stupid for laughs on this podcast, not just you. It's not great, that. It's not great at all. I'll be honest, I'm always quite laissez-faire about all these things because ultimately I have a general wider view that good players come and good players go. But when he's playing as well as he is, and he's now going out of his way to speak to people and journalists about that, it's starting to get to a situation now where, the PR of this is our first real taste, I think, of what a fucking nightmare this is going to turn into if we don't get a decision one way or the other sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I think he's playing the game, isn't he, now? That, according to James Pearce, he's done 2 articles on it today in The Athletic, and in one of the articles he said that's the 3rd time that Mo Salah has actually stopped in a mix zone. One it was in 2018 when he scored his 40th goal and he'd promised him he'd do it after 40 goals, and the other is after we won the Champions League. The mix zone there, they're the 2 times that he's stopped, and every other time it's basically been no, not today, lads. And this time he came over to them and decided to talk to them, so he very much is now playing a game out in public. So this is a come and get me plea as far as I'm concerned to Liverpool Football Club, and now he's got the fans on his side. And the ownership of Liverpool and the people who are making the decisions they've got to come out now, and they're either the bad guys or they've got to come out and offer him a contract that is palatable to him and his agents, because talks will have happened. We know that there is no formal offer, but we know that the parties are talking. James said that in his article. So they're probably quite wildly different opinions on where they are at the moment. I'm sure that Liverpool will have offered him something with high bonuses and low weekly wage based on the fact that his appearances and goals don't dry up. If he continues at the level that he's playing at, he'll probably earn around the same, give or take, as to what he's earning now. But ultimately, this is not a good thing for Liverpool. We've shown no appetite for moving on from Mo in the transfer windows. I think Chiesa clearly bought as an option for the forward line, but not the successor to Mo Salah. We've not tried or been linked with a potential actual successor for Mo at any point in the last few years. What the hell are we doing?
Yeah, no, it's a hard one to sort of fathom out, isn't it, Dan? Because it's such a live thing, and I'm always interested to. I've got my opinions on it. My opinion is I just keep Salah for the rest of his career because that's how good he is. But I like to guess and try and work out what the decisions are behind it. And when we didn't have it sewn up in the summer, and then you get to the international, and he starts the season brilliantly. It's like, well, he started the season brilliant. It's a no-brainer. Then he's rubbish when we come back from the first international break. And I went, okay. Well, actually, this makes a little bit more sense. Let's see how it plays out. But I don't think his overall form has been great, but his numbers you can't ignore his numbers. He's producing, and he's the only one who is producing to that level in the side at the moment. Diaz is having a brilliant season. He's nowhere near Mohamed Salah's overall level. And it's not just goals, it's assists. And that's what's making this mad. if he is dropping off, he's doing it in a way that I'm not capable of measuring.
Yeah, likewise. And he's not just doing it. He's not just delivering. He's delivering at the most important and crucial of times as well. Like you said earlier on, like yesterday, we don't win that game of football if it isn't for the genius of Mohamed Salah. He wins. He drags us there. And he's so determined. He mentions it there as well about his desire to win the Premier League. He also references the Champions League as well in the same sentence. He is so determined and driven to bring more glory to his football club. We'd be insane not to tie him down. And I'll be honest with you, I was with you for large parts of sort of the past. When's it been a story? 6, 7, 8 months, whatever it's been, in terms of like, I like to understand why the club might be taking their stance and why they're spending time sort of deliberating, considering if it is the right thing to do to offer him X amount of money for the next 3 or 4 years. But that's done now for me. Like, he's shown me enough already this season. There's already enough of a sample size there, if there wasn't already, to suggest that you just give him whatever he wants because he's that important, he's that good. The numbers he continues to put up remain that consistent, that high, that superb. And his general play might well have diminished somewhat. I think that's a fair assessment to make. However, when you can change and transform your game, because let's not forget that the penalty he scored yesterday, he won as well with his delivery into the box. Like, that was finding Andy Robertson the back stick if it wasn't for the handball. So he continues to show sheer bloody mindedness in terms of his quality. He's in peak physical condition. So there's nothing to me anymore to suggest. And also, I made this point last week on this pod, like, if you do give Salah a 3-year contract, just for talking's sake, in 2 years' time, if he does dip a little bit to a level whereby you're not necessarily sort of willing to continue to pay him the sort of money, you don't get lumbered with Mohamed Salah. The fella is an absolute worldwide superstar. Yes. He's global in that sense. You could, in theory, sell him at that point if you really, really needed to. I don't think it'll come to that because, again, he's so sort of determined to remain at the top level. And the other sort of line from that whole interview that I didn't like, there's a few, to be honest with you, but the one where he references the fact that he wants to continue at the top level. So that then says to you, well, he's not going to Saudi. If he does walk away, he's going somewhere big in Europe. Yeah. And that is not a world I want to live in. Yeah, and I think just to pull on the slightly earlier thread on that, Steve, is that thing of the Saudi Pro League stuff. If they're legit, and by all accounts it's not going anywhere anytime soon. Dan's right. 2 years from now, Mohamed Salah could have half a leg, and in 2 years' time, he'll still be worth something to them because of actually his global appeal. Having Mo Salah and wheeling him out to clap the fans would actually be worth money and attention to the Saudi Pro League. So he doesn't need to be even a shadow of the player that he is right now. So to the point, you've got that almost escape clause. So that's the thing that does make it a little bit more baffling, that you can't just box him off, you know.
If they take Cristiano Ronaldo at 37, they take Mo Salah at 35. Absolutely, 100%. There's comparisons to be drawn there, isn't there? There is a speculation. It's to do with length of contract, isn't there? Sort of some of the Kevin Hatchard referenced it, that it's two versus three type of conversation happening. Two with a sit down and have a review of whether there's a third year. Dan's point before that, you know, if he does drop off a cliff, that you've instantly got an option there to get out of it if you want to, because there'll be no shortage of takers, the Saudi thing being chief amongst them. The issue being is that the club has a problem giving middle 30 age players contracts, and Jordan Henderson's the prime example.
Any over 30s.
Caused a lot of problems in the football club, and I remember listening to Jamie Carragher say, you go to bed one day and you wake up the next day and legs are gone. It's literally like that. There's nothing you can do about it. Where he plays, you can get away with that a little bit because he's not in the middle of the park where you need the legs. You know, we saw that with Henderson, didn't we? That he couldn't compete. You know, after giving us everything he gave us,
Fabinho as well.
Yeah, Fabinho's probably a slightly more.
We had it with Steven Gerrard.
Yeah, they couldn't compete. We should have played Gerrard further up the pitch. That's a different story, isn't it? You know, but the fact of the matter is that playing on the right wing, you can hide that a little bit. You can mask it because he's got the quality. He will cover for the lack of pace because he's becoming an assister. Some of the passes that he puts into the box are absolutely ridiculous outside of the left boot. You know, that's a part of his game he's developed. Yeah. We've seen good players leave the club before. Amazing players. Ian Rush went to Italy. There was a furore over that. But this guy's absolutely flying. There's an argument to say right now he's the form player in world football. You cannot get to a situation where that guy starts having conversations with a PSG or somebody like that who will throw the kitchen sink at it in terms of money and make your life so much more difficult in terms of your negotiations. They just need to sit him down, as Dan said, give him what he wants, get it done, let's put this to bed. The only other concern is, because there's 3 of them all at once, is we're changing the profile of our wage structure forever on the basis of those 3 contracts.
Yeah.
So that's possibly why the club's delaying, because it's massive decisions, because over the years when they gave pay rises to the top guys, the guys on the next sort of level knocked on the door and asked for more money, because everything's relative.
Yeah, 100%.
So I think there's a concern with the football club how they change the wage structure.
That for me feels like, what are we doing this for? Like, are we Brighton? Do we want to just have a little go every few years, every 5 or 6 years? We pop up our heads up and go, oh great, everyone, whoa, LA, everyone, like LA, let's have a little go at something, and then disappear back into the pack? Or are we legitimately, what have we been building for? What have we built the new stands for? What have we built the training facility for? Are we going to, is the plan to stay at the top and to be in, because we are on reputation as super club. But also Liverpool is a bit provincial in its own way. We have been that, certainly in our time following the football club, we have been a bit up and down. But is the mission to have us just be cemented as we're there no matter what, come hell or high water? Because Man United, even though their form drops, there's never any doubt that they are in that top bracket, no matter sort of what. So I do worry a bit about that. Is it time to change that structure? Because you've got to be able to buy the best players. I do like the way we do it. I do like the fact that we aren't reliant on buying superstars. I don't necessarily mean that's what it is, but you've got to be competitive. Because Tottenham do have a similar model, but they've got a ceiling to what they'll pay and what they'll do. And there's a reason why Tottenham don't compete ever or consistently.
And we own this one.
If the blueprint for the owners, not Liverpool Football Club, the owners is to have a multi-club portfolio, why not have the creme de la creme as a superpower? Why not use it as a sort of a platform to build everything else on, and push the envelope and go and make them the most dominant team in the English Premier League and a force again in Europe, season in, season out. So I guess there's a decision there to be made. Let Liverpool Football Club negotiate the contracts for the good of Liverpool Football Club and reap the rewards off the back of it.
Just quickly as a wider conversation, and Chris hinted at it a moment ago, the fact that we haven't future-proofed or planned for life after Mo Salah is another conversation in all of this, because let's just live in a world, and Salah basically said this is what's happening as things stand right now, where he does walk away from the football club for free next summer. Liverpool are then scrambling around trying to find what the solution is there, and I'm not sure it's in-house. Personally, you mentioned Keys, I don't think he's the answer. Really like a couple of youngsters, but my word, like that's a big old jump from being a youngster on loan to Salah.
Ben Doak is wonderful,
but come on, and I love the kid.
He's not there. Yeah.
So therefore, again, to come back to my sort of overarching point and the whole thing, like you tie Mo Salah down for 2 years. In that 2-year period, you source and you get what could be the successor, and you allow him to learn on the job while Salah, you give him a bit of rest if he needed, etc., etc.
Listen, at the risk of throwing myself upon the fucking altar of public opinion or whatever to try and ask some devil's advocate questions around this. What if you don't want that style of, what if you want to change your style? It's a bit like Pep Guardiola had this with Aguero, by the way. Did not want Sergio Aguero to lead his line, but he had no choice because every time he put Aguero in, he scored. But it was quite clear he wanted to move away to this total football sort of model.
Yeah, he ended up getting Haaland in, by the way. Just
how
that story carries on.
Yeah, exactly.
You're both right.
But he completed football without the centre forward, and then you're right, he goes back to it. But then look at Man City now. Man City are in a situation where if Erling Haaland doesn't score, they don't score, and that's the other knock-on impact of that kind of thing. And in tying Salah down, does that stand in the way of changing your style? Does that delay your ability to change your style? Because we were talking in the office before. Okay, so everyone's going to buy a centre forward. We don't play a style of football that suits a goal scoring centre forward. We might do if we get the right one. We might do, but what does that centre forward look like? And if you're going to someone in world football, you're going to Gyökeres or whatever and say, right, mate, well done, you're scoring a goal a game at the moment, you're on the upper trajectory, right, you're going to come to Liverpool, you're going to run around like a twat for 95 minutes and try and play these other lads on the wing in to score goals. Cool? Probably not. And so is there something in that as well? It might be a consideration.
I think there is, yeah, and I think you're right. I think it's hard to sort of accommodate both things, which is sort of an out-and-out goal scorer centre forward and Mohamed Salah, because it's nigh on impossible. The weight of goals can't be balanced in that sense, especially when you got your left winger, whether it be Gakpo or Diaz, contributing as well. Like, it'd be nice, but doesn't feel doable, really. And I think we mentioned this again, I've mentioned this a few times, sort of what Arne Slot's previous managerial jobs have done has been very sort of centre-forward heavy, and the wingers have been sort of more of old-fashioned wingers who would be the supply line for that centre-forward. But he's arrived at Liverpool and gone, well, I've got centre-forwards there that do contribute goals, but my main guy is this guy, so let's just play to that, and obviously it's working right now, so no harm, no foul almost. But
there's no one in Wales football, really, who's going to replace Mo Salah.
And this is the point, isn't it?
So it probably is a change. The next one, if Salah does walk away, I think you're right. I think it would be a change. You would see a different style of winger come through the door, but you'd still need a winger.
It works both ways. Because
I'm looking at it thinking, right, okay, it can only be a money thing. That's it for me. It can only be a money thing.
Over a period of time.
Over a period of time.
Yeah, in terms of like 3 years, what does that money do?
What would Liverpool likely do in the market anyway? They're not likely to let Salah leave and spend £100 million on a replacement, are they?
No.
They're likely to bring in a lad on 75 grand a week who's 23 years old and who's going to work his way up to the big contract. Why is it a money thing then? Because you can keep Salah and get somebody else in on 75 grand a week. No problem whatsoever.
Where did he get the game?
Well, if Salah tails off, there's he gets his game.
Yeah.
But also, who is there in Wales football that's going to be that guy? There's Yamal at Barcelona. That's the only one that I can think of. And that's mentioned to me.
Replace like for like. You can't.
No, you're not really.
He's irreplaceable.
So why are we trying to replace him?
No,
it's quite a simple thing.
No.
Well, you can't replace him. Don't then.
Well, that's the point. Well, that's the way. If you can't replace Salah, well, you own Salah, so you don't need to replace him because he's still scoring. But it goes down to that point of what happens when that fucking runs out. Of then
you bought yourself time.
I
give Salah a contract, you buy yourself 2 years.
That's what I believe the concern, and whether this is sort of being borne out in the underlying numbers, we may never know whether it comes to training, all that sort of stuff. We're not privy to that information, of course. We're not. That's the football nerds at the football club deal with that. But that, for me, can be the only thing stopping them doing what we're talking about here and just saying, do you know what, come to a compromise. You're boss. We want to keep you. You want to stay here. The fans adore you. Let's just get this sorted. The only thing stopping that can be Liverpool's fear that in 18 months, 24 months' time, when he's still on 350 to 400 grand a week, that level drops overnight.
Yeah, and it does. But just as an example of what the numbers that we can see, did you know that so far this season, this is his best per 90 goals and assists ever in all comps?
Yes.
For us. That's wild.
The transformation...
That's better than the season where he scored 40 goals.
Yeah,
but that's a lot to do with... You made the point before, this isn't the best Liverpool team you've seen. It's not the most cavalier Liverpool team you've seen, but it's certainly a team that weekend aside is in control of most of the games, which engineer better opportunities for a goal scorer in the likes of Mo Salah for me.
You said before, like, often, and Salah doesn't fall under this category now in this bracket, and you're right, but there was a time whereby when I even considered, when Salah's legs go, what does that look like? Like, what will he, because he wasn't a pace merchant, but he's very reliant on the fact that he just run away from anybody. He's changed in such a way where that doesn't even matter anymore.
What we don't want to see is that version of Mo Salah that goes and gets whitewash on his boots and stands on the touchline and becomes ineffective. This transition that we've got is heavily dependent on him, isn't it?
Yeah, well, he's not as fast as Dan says now, and what he's discovered is the outside of his left boot, and he just uses that to get the ball into the box instead of having to run 55 steps.
Yeah, no, that's right. He's brilliant. He's absolutely amazing. It's an absolute no-brainer. Liverpool should. It's one of them. Again, we're all sat here. There's no content, by the way. If we just go, just sign them up. It's 30 seconds and we're all done. It is interesting to try and work out what it is the thinking behind it. And the honest answer is none of us really knows. It's pure speculation. And again, we've touched upon it. There's data beyond data that we've got no concept of that they might be looking at. And we've said it before, is that we're looking at the iceberg that sticks up above the ocean, and we don't know what's under there.
Sticking up pretty high though, innit?
Well, it's guessing without a doubt.
You're not missing that if you stood aboard the Titanic, no matter how dark it is.
Yeah, I don't know, but in a buoy, you know what I mean? It's just kind of, but that's the thing, is that we don't know that in years gone by, all this work he put into it, so he was flat out 6 days a week in training, and then he was producing. And what you don't see is the erosion below the waterline. The stuff above it might still be there, but he might be taking more out of him on a week-to-week basis to get him to that level. We
might be Ledley King in it,
but we don't. Yeah, exactly. But we don't care because we're seeing the output, and that's all we care to see, all we want to see, and anyone will ever really care about is how many goals he scores on the football pitch, and maybe that's all we should care about. But also, it's not our decision to take. It's Richard Hughes and Arne Slot. They've got to pull together all of this stuff and work out whether they want to keep him. It would be a bit mad if they choose to let him go. But honestly, I hate to be a bit of a fucking bore on this, but like, I couldn't foresee a world without Jurgen Klopp 12 months ago.
But your heart will go on.
But honestly,
nice.
But like, look, someone asked us a question last week. Would you have Klopp back now? And I think all of us said, but now you're the only one that said no. But I think broadly most of us went, no, let's see what Slot's doing, because he's earned the bank. No, Richard Hughes hasn't earned that trust yet. And in the transfer sense, Mo Salah's still bigger than everyone else at the football club. So it's going to be a huge decision no matter what they do. But what I would suggest is no matter what happens, eventually Liverpool will sign someone that we love just as much, if not more, because we're now on conversations where people are saying, I didn't think anyone could surpass Gerrard, but Salah is, and I know there's probably a younger generation who don't hold Gerrard in that level of esteem because they didn't see his full career. They've only seen Salah's full career. You'll have someone else will come along. It's just, I just can't be arsed with the fucking hassle, and again the PR and the negative impact it has. It made me feel really uncomfortable when James Pearce asked the question of like, how do you feel about that? I don't want to see Mo Salah upset. I don't want him to feel out on his ear. I want him to feel beloved by everyone at the club, and someone's clearly not doing that.
Sorry, just the problem is as well is things are going so well. Like so well, and this underlying undercurrent of a narrative surrounding 3 of our most important footballers exists. Like, hope to God it doesn't, and please let that not be the case for whatever reason, whatever conclusion they come to on all 3 of them. But there is a world whereby, like you mentioned before, when the Klopp news broke January last year, everything sort of petered out towards the end of that when things started going against us. Like, if it gets confirmed that all 3 of these, or 2 of the 3, are going to leave the football club, like, that is shockwave territory. That's derailing. Yeah. And listen, Mohamed Salah, once again, come back to my point earlier, like, is completely laser focused on what's ahead and determined to win games of football and therefore trophies for Liverpool. However, who knows? Come March, if he is going to leave, like, that may not be the case anymore. It could derail everything. You just don't know, which is another reason why you should get it all sorted.
Yeah, and this isn't just a battle, I don't think, that's taking place on the field for Liverpool as well. I mean, if you lose Virgil van Dijk and you lose Trent and you lose Salah, what does that do to the sponsorships at the club and stuff as well? Are the sponsors starting to look at it and going, fucking hell, just to get a big old deal there for a kit sponsorship for next couple of years, like, you know what I mean? What does that do to that? So this is actually huge what they're trying to sort of balance at the 100%. Moment. It's mad.
Mo Salah, Trent, Virgil, Salah, Adidas football kits going forward by the bucket load, don't they? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, just to reiterate, just get it done, Liverpool, because I can't be fucked with the stress around it, to be perfectly honest. But one thing, and this is one of the things why one of the things I'm keen for everyone to just avoid. Opta Joe put out a graphic. 17. Mohamed Salah's goals and assists have been worth 17 points to Liverpool this season, the most of any player in the division. Without them, Chelsea would lead the league table and Liverpool would be 13th, indispensable. So yeah, that Liverpool will be down in 13th. 2 points I would like to make on this. First and foremost, even without Mohamed Salah, Liverpool would be above Everton in the league, which is absolutely splendid. We would be 3 points better off than Everton Football Club. And bear in mind, that is technically Liverpool have played the entire season with 10 men.
Yeah.
Liverpool have played 12 games with 10 men and they're still better than Everton Football Club. But that's also the point that never gets mentioned on these things. No. I get it. It's cool. It's illustrative. That's not science. That is like, that's science fiction.
That's fucking bullshit because Chelsea didn't win that game. Which is why their points are on more.
Good point, yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
If the PG Mowell had their way, we would play every game with 10 men, though, to be fair. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
How was City getting on without Rodri? Where's that league table?
I can get that one behind. Get that one for you. Yeah. But that's the thing. Also worth remembering that we could put a footballer in there who might actually win free kicks, which could completely change how that happens for us. Anyway, yeah. Look, it's a big story. It is a thing without a shadow of a doubt, and it's only going to be. It's not going to go away until we know where Salah's playing football next season. This is going to be a topic of conversation. It's going to roll on. It is mad because we were hearing rumours like a week ago that Liverpool wanted to give him a 2-year deal, and he didn't want 2 years. He wanted 1 year with an option to extend beyond that. So I'm a bit surprised that this hasn't come out to say this is all done. But yeah, again, goes back to it. People get wound up by all kinds of things, don't they? And this is a pretty good one to get wound up about.